Welcome to the Innovation Conversation, a podcast about innovators, both in business and real life. Hosted by myself, Ricardo Pascual, and Harry McDonough. Today's episode is sponsored by Hyperskill. Hyperskill is a learning and training platform that enables people from all over the world to learn new tech skills. If you're looking to learn new tech skills, this is a platform to choose. You can find out more about them on hyperskill.org. Another one of our sponsors is Social Town Marketing, your premier social media agency. You can find out more about them on socialtownmarketing.com. And today we're talking with Gabriel Isserlis, the founder of Tutti.space, the premier place to find creative spaces all over the world.
Gabriel, thank you very much for joining us in the Innovation Conversation. So tell us a bit more about Tutti. I think me and Harry are both very excited to have you here and learn a bit more.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Tutti is essentially Airbnb for creative spaces today. Mm-hmm. So that means that we help people find and book amazing spaces for film shoots, photo shoots, rehearsals, recordings, performances, anything creative. We have staging areas, like where a shoot might be happening outside, they need an area just to set up costume and green rooms. We have those. We have unit bases, which is where like large productions will drive loads of vans in for like all sorts of things. Literally any sort of space you can think of that could be creative, we have space for it. We have spaces that are homes, churches, theatres, studios. We have parks. We have military venues. We have boats. Like, you name it, we've probably got it.
So you're like a scouting website for film crews looking for a location. Is that a correct way of?
Yeah, we like to distinguish ourselves. So we're not an agency. We're not a location agency. Mm-hmm. We are a location library. We call ourselves a high-tech location library because we won't actually go out like an agency and negotiate on behalf of the clients.
Yeah. Okay.
Our technology simply helps connect the dots. So the people who are looking for venues will contact the venues on our site. Mm-hmm. And then they'll negotiate directly. We simply help facilitate that and we've built one of the best search engines for locations or spaces in the world because we have 30 plus filters. So you can filter by like green screen or Infinity Cove, whether they have power, if they have 3-phase power, which is often needed on shoots, or if it's completely silent in the space, or if it's soundproofed, or if there's mirrors, if there's a piano. There's so many different filters we have.
So how did you get started with this? Where did this idea come from or resonate to that extent? It's a really clever idea, and it'd be great just to get an understanding of what is your background. How did you come to set all this up? What gave you that little bit of spark to, put Tutti into practice and get it rolling?
Yeah. So my background is the creative industries and technology is the simplest way of saying it. But my family are all musicians, professional musicians. I just got married and my wife is even a classical musician.
Congratulations.
So I kept it in the family, still classical musicians. And just everyone in my family is classical musician. My dad's quite a well-known cellist, and I chose the cello when I was 5, and when I was 12 to 15 I was very much put off the idea of following in his footsteps because I kept being compared to him. But I still love the music industry. I cannot go a single day without listening to music. But when I was trying to figure out a different path for myself, I went and I fell in love with film, and I studied film at university. I realized that I love film and I love how it's made, but I'm not very good at making films myself because there's a really interesting talent that filmmakers have, really good filmmakers have, where they, unless their name is George Lucas, they're very good at finishing a film and being done with it, and they never touch it again.
Yeah.
And I am a tinkerer. I keep on changing things. I will launch something that's broken or, well, not very good, and I'll keep on improving it. And that's why startup life is so good for me. But yeah, filmmaking is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Wasn't for me. And I love how things fit together. That's what drew me to film originally. I love working with people, also what drew me to film. And I love technology. I'm always an early adopter of things. Actually, I'm wearing a T-shirt of an early adoption. This is one of the first smartwatches. I backed them on Kickstarter. I have every version of theirs, and I own Google Glass, for example. So yeah, early adopter. So I went and studied programming as well, computer programming at university. And while I was at university, I also was in a job that was called Tech Crew, which we did sound, lights, and power for every single event on campus, whether that was a small community event of 20 people who were just like doing a club meetup, but we also had the second largest event venue in the city. So we hosted Maroon 5, Macklemore, Bob Dylan. I did lights and sound and power for all of these massive acts. And so I got this experience of events, film, programming. I had music, and then when I left university, I did some photography. And I knew I've seen deep into so many sectors, and I kept coming up with the same problem, that people get into the creative industries in order to create, but there is such a barrier of admin that they have to do before being able to create. And admin is creatively draining. So I came up with the concept of if we could build technology that automates or simplifies admin, we could help release so much more creativity into the world. And that's what we're trying to do with Tutti. Essentially, we are giving creators more time to create.
It's a good. I think we just literally had that issue here in the podcast, right? Because people can't see this, but we were trying to set up the cameras, we changed our positions, and it's great having your insights on this because we were doing it completely wrong. But it's quite interesting because people don't realize how long it actually takes to create something. You think, oh, it's just 30 minutes. They walk in and they press record and that's it. But actually, the background, what goes on, before and then after, that's where most of your time gets spent. So yeah, it's quite interesting. And how are you finding the industry overall? Are people very receptive to this new idea?
I mean, yeah, we're tiny. We haven't raised that much money, and we've had so many incredible different people who have used it. We have small independent artists. We've had record labels from the US try and use it. There was someone who filmed a music video at one of our locations recently. The BBC, ITV, Channel 4 have all used it. And then like companies like Ricardo and Pizza Pilgrims and Lily's Kitchen, they've all booked commercial spots through it.
It's pretty big players, to be fair.
Yeah.
So it really amazing number of people have come through the doors and used it already.
So you really hit the nail on the head with this one, right?
Yeah, but scaling it.
Scaling it's always the issue.
It's a very different story. But I mean, it wasn't hard to know that I was hitting the nail on the head because every single creator that I spoke to in my journey of coming up with the idea and getting it to reality was like, hell yeah, that's a good idea. And I personally experienced the problem in 4 different industries, and I was like, hell yeah, this is a good idea.
So going from that point of coming up with the idea to your first round of fundraising, do you mind giving us an overview of how you found that? Was it very receptive? Because with the UK, it's a very broad area, but it's also very in demand. I think by 2030, they're supposed to grow this and try and hire around 10,000 extra people in to cover a lot of these roles. And it's something the UK is really, really pushing. And how did you go about fundraising? Was it quite quick?
So, no, my fundraising journey was very long. So I first launched an MVP of this idea on Halloween of 2018 because I have no life. So October 31st, 2018. And it was, that's when we got started. I came up with the first inklings of this idea in 2015. So it took me 3 years to figure out how to build an MVP. There's a lot of time spent in there that I talk about on all the other podcasts that I could go into so much detail on, but that I basically had to learn how to start a startup. I learned a lot of hard lessons the wrong way, or just had tough times. I had to build my own work ethic because when I left university, I didn't do any work, and there were just a lot of problems in the way. And eventually, I finally figured out how to build an MVP, which hilariously was a friend of mine not in university, a friend of mine in America texted me and said, hey, have you heard of this company called ShareTribe? And I was like, no, what is that? And he said, oh, you can make marketplaces with it. And I was building a marketplace. I'd spent 6 months trying to build a marketplace from scratch. He told me about ShareTribe on October 30th, 2018. We had it live with payment processing and first customers by October 31st, 2018. Wow.
But no Halloween, though. You miss Halloween.
Well, I mean, I always miss Halloween. I have no life. And so we had that, and then from 2018 through to 2022, we were self-funded, not for lack of trying to fundraise. We kept on trying to fundraise, but I never focused enough of my time on it, and I never believed anyone that it was a full-time job.
Yeah.
It is. And I just didn't put in enough effort to try and go out and make those cold connections. I'm not, even to this day, I struggle with going and reaching out to someone cold and being like, hey, will you give me money? I don't put it that way, but that's essentially what some people were saying. And I struggled at doing that. I had non-starts, I think 3 or 4 times on fundraisers when I said, hey, I'm fundraising, and then nothing happened. The final time that I said that was October 2021. And we'd, after the closures of the country had opened up in 2021, we spent quite a lot of time and money on, we were self-funded, so we did have some money to put, but not much. We spent that trying to get more venues on board. And we grew 6x in venues or 5x, 200 to 1,100 in less than 6 months.
Oh, wow.
It's quite a number.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, it's going really well, let's fundraise. And I tried talking to people, and people were like, no, you're trying to raise 300K, you're building a marketplace, it's too little money for too big of a growth thing. So I spent 6 months talking to people being like, are you interested? No. And I got my confidence kicked down.
Yeah.
Then throughout that time, I was talking to my customers because I was like, you know what, there's definitely some value in here.
But you already had customers at this stage,
Yeah,
right?
we had. Okay. So we launched the MVP in 2018. We had, what was it? We had 1,000 listings in 2021, and
It's a fair few.
yeah, 1,000 listings, and I think we had like 2,000 artists who signed up.
So it's quite good numbers, actually.
We had decent numbers. It was small amounts of revenue, very small.
Can we rewind back slightly to the MVP question?
Yeah.
Because it'd be quite interesting for our audience to say, you don't actually need a lot of money to build an MVP. You're just taking the time to do it and know what you're doing, which is essentially the hardest thing.
I think one of the things that I say that I struggled with very early on, which people need to get better at, is Googling and today using OpenAI. Because if I had put in the right search terms, I would have found ShareTribe 6 months previously.
That's a good point, yeah.
And I had looked for it. I'd looked for things like it, but I'd never kind of done a very hard search for something like that. I thought it might exist. I never found it. A friend texted me, and I found it and built it in one day. So there are so many no-code tools out there today that most people should be able to build their MVP in some shape or form.
And then with
almost no money. ShareTribe cost me £100 a month. Less than £100 a month. Well, our first setup was Squarespace as the marketing website for SEO and for helping get out there, and ShareTribe for the functional website. And they linked between each other. It was not the greatest experience. I got told that a few times, but it worked, and we got bookings through the door.
It's amazing.
Nice. So it's actually quite interesting. We're talking about how much of an MVP you need to have to get started, but you're right on this one. You actually don't need that much money to get started.
No.
And there's so many tools out there. I mean, we have that experience from the podcast. We thought, we actually need to buy a lot of software, a lot of very complicated things. But in reality, 10 years ago you needed Final Cut or something like that, or Adobe, to properly edit movies. And now what do we use? I forgot the name.
There's something called Descript that you should definitely use.
It's not Descript, it's something else. Black Magic? I forgot the name.
Black Magic.
But it's free. So it has the same abilities as Final Cut, which is quite impressive considering it's free. Same thing goes for audio. It's all free. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago you're paying for this. Now it's all free. So actually what you need to do is sit down, focus on one you're building, build it, because the software is not that expensive, and just get started, right?
Yeah. There's so many amazing no-code tools out there. There's a guy that I know who runs a community I'm a part of called Mike Williams, and he runs something called Everything Marketplaces. If you're a marketplace founder, check it out. I can even get discount codes. If you are not a marketplace founder, just at least look up Mike Williams, because he has created an entire no-code playbook for people to start their companies with no code, and it's brilliant. And there's so many tools out there. I think there's Bubble, which I've never used, but I have friends who have experience with it. I said you start your marketing website with Squarespace because they do the SEO for you. There's so many different tools out there that it costs less than £100 to set up. And if you want to take payments, for marketplaces, ShareTribe with Stripe. But if you want to take payments for an e-commerce business or anything, Stripe just has something you can set up in 2 minutes, and it's all so easy now if you know where to look. But you have to be good at Googling.
Yeah.
So
it's quite interesting, all these things you're saying, because we have many founders coming here, and they all have had different experiences, and how to get started, how to validate their ideas, how to get funding. And sometimes we find people that go and try to get funding before they have an MVP. Other times they just build an MVP without actually getting any feedback whatsoever from the market. But you've actually done it I think probably the correct way, which is first find the market. You found your market. There's obviously a need for it. You build your MVP for not a lot of money. And only after that, and only after you had some clients and everything you needed, you went to get some funding. So what advice would you give people that have done it your way in terms of how easy is it to get funding after that?
Oh, it's not easy at all.
It's not easy at all.
No, so I can pick up my funding story again. So in October 2021, trying to get funding for the marketplace, and I spent 6 months getting told no and losing confidence. And then I wasn't very good at it. I'm still not amazing at it, but I'm getting a lot better. And now in early 2022, I was talking to enough customers that I kept on seeing a pattern, which was customers, our venues especially, don't have any booking system behind them. They use spreadsheets, Google Calendar, email, and that's about it. And I started proposing to them, what if we built you software? Would you ever use that? Would you pay for it? We had lots of discussions, and they said, yeah, if you could do this and this and this that would help us, then yes, I would. And then I switched the pitch and the fundraise, and I went back to people I'd spoken to previously and said, what about this idea? Would you back this idea? We already have part of the market, because the marketplace drives the venues that will use this software. And I had one person who I asked, did not expect anything. I asked him, I'd figured out the tech I needed behind fundraising to get the input, how much they could put in as low as possible. And so I went and asked a couple people for $3,000. And
which is not a lot of money.
It's not that much money.
Most people go for quite a lot of money compared to that.
Yeah. So I asked for $3,000. This first person said, actually, I love this idea. I would put in $50,000. And I was like, holy crap. Okay. He ended up not putting in that, but it was because of him saying that I suddenly got confidence, and I went out. My wife, she saw a completely different change in me, being super confident now with a new idea related to the same one. I don't like to call it a pivot. It was more an evolution, because we're still working on the marketplace. Yeah. But we went out with this idea, talked to a lot more people. I targeted a lot more people of that same relationship this guy had with me, and targeted more people. He was a friend from university. Asked a lot more friends from university, would you be interested in $3,000? And in 6 weeks, we closed $140,000 in funding.
Oh, wow. Do you know that many people, or you just got...
I mean, I know a lot of people. So there was 45 people who came in the first round. And we put them on an SPV. So we use a technology called Odin, which basically allows you to wrap up lots of investors. So it's one name on your cap table. Okay. So we had 45 people put money in. Some people, a lot of my friends who I met when I was studying programming went and worked at Google and Microsoft and Amazon. Yeah. And I had legitimately people take stock out of Google and Amazon at least to invest into Tutti.
It's quite a clever way to do it. So would you say it's all about community, having the right circle, not social circles, but building that community present, networking, and that's one of the main indicators or ways in which you've pretty much got to where you are, which is incredible.
Networking is a massive one. And networking, I go into networking differently to what apparently a lot of people do, which is I am never trying to get something out of people when I first meet them. I'm always trying to offer them something. One of my personal superpowers as a founder is the ability to pattern recognize. And I do that in understanding problems that people have and coming up with technological solutions. I'm doing that all the time, but also in people. So I will remember people incredibly. I have a level of facial blindness, so I can't actually recognize people, but I can remember people really well. And I'll be like, okay, this person works in music tech and AI. Who do I know in music tech? This person. Who do I know in AI? This person. And without like a spreadsheet or anything, I can immediately be like, I can introduce you to 3 people. And I do that with anyone who I meet, and they don't kind of give off, they give off a vibe of confidence, and they clearly know their sector and their market. They're at an advanced stage, but they're not too early that my introduction is worthless. Yes. But actually, I do this with VCs as well. So, I do it with all sorts of people. But I network a lot, and I always go in trying to add value. And then, because in networking, when you meet people, 90% of people you're meeting are trying to retract or take value.
Take something out of you.
Take something out of you. When someone comes and offers you something, you remember them.
Oh, definitely.
You do,
And that was my kind of little hack. And then there's also the angel, Jason Calacanis, I always get his name wrong, but I think that's correct, in the US. He has a blog post that I can't find that basically says, if you want people to remember you, be the host. If you are hosting events and people like come to those, they are always trying to meet the host of the event. There's a guy named Vasily who's doing this in London right now. He runs a company called Fugin.
He was one of our guests.
Yeah, he's doing really well at like collecting a lot of people around him, and everyone wants to meet this guy. And he's doing it. I don't know how he has time to run those events and his business, which is why I'm not doing the same thing. But yeah, he's doing it really well. Another guy named Michael Blakely, who was the founder of Entrepreneurs Collective, did it really well in 2018, 2019. I'm still a founder of their community, fantastic community of entrepreneurs called Entrepreneurs Collective. And yeah, you be the host, people will come and try and find you. If you then offer them value, yeah, you'll be remembered.
It's all about the value, I think, isn't it? Because most people, like you said, are just energy vampires. They want to take something from you. And I think it's always awkward, especially when you're fundraising, like, where can I get money from? And, I've been to a couple of events, and when I said, I'm actually not an investor, I'm here just for the networking. Oh, okay. And they walk away straight. It's like, hold on, but you don't know who I know. Yeah. So you being rude to a complete random stranger might actually be very, very bad on the long run, but people don't think that far most of the times,
No, people are really, really bad at kind of planning for the long term. There was an investor who's quite a famous investor in the UK who I will never accept money from, because the first event that I ever went to in the startup ecosystem, I met her. And she came up to me and said, how much are you raising? I said, I'm not, I'm just getting started. And she immediately turned around and walked away. And I was like, well, that's rude.
First impressions.
First impression. And I was just like, okay, never take money from you.
But we see this happen all the time, isn't it? Like, if you watch Shark Tank or Dragon's Den or any of those shows, if your personnel is not matching because they're not polite or nice to you, even if you might have award-winning idea or they might have a lot of money, you're not going to do business. It's simple as that, right? It comes down to your personnel and if you match as people or not. So
So do you have any mentors that you who work with you very closely? Do you have any that come to mind, or individuals that you've followed or take advice from, or even just looking at podcasts and snippets? Is anybody who kind of stands out?
I mean, just
from us, right?
Obviously, there's so many people. So a lot of people like to put together a small advisory board. I'm not like that. Again, I like having lots of people around me, so I don't take advice from like a select few of people. There are some people who are more willing to give more time to me. So of course I talk to them every week. Like there's one of our investors who has actually offered to help kind of somewhat lead the next round.
Okay.
I met him a year ago, and he's an exited founder. He works for a massive big tech company that I'm not allowed to mention, and he's an expert in generative AI. Lovely, lovely guy. I am now such good friends with him that I stayed at his house when I was in Silicon Valley, and we talk literally every week, which is so much fun. But he is the most consistent advisor. There is another person who is the CEO of a major software company in Cambridge who has been supporting me since 2016, and we talk every month. He's now actually officially a director of our company. And then beyond that, I actually, every time that someone invests, I send out a form asking, what do you specialize in? What do you love to teach people at? And I have this massive spreadsheet of every single investor who's answered this and what their expertise is. And when I have a question that I can't find an immediate answer to in my network, I go through that list and I'm like, oh yeah, he might do it.
That's brilliant.
And I mean, that's
a really good idea.
I had an issue with Microsoft because our integration wasn't working recently, and one of our investors is high up in Microsoft, not in the same department, but I pinged him and he sent a message to someone else in Microsoft who was in the right department.
It's not Bill Gates, was it?
It wasn't Bill Gates. No, senior engineer who I went to university with, and he found the right person for me to talk to and helped resolve the issue fairly quickly. And this customer support person that I was talking to was very confused as to how this guy was related to us. But yeah, I like to surround myself with as many super intelligent, there's a company called Datto that was founded by someone who graduated from my university, and they exited for $2 billion or something a few years ago. First unicorn of Connecticut, I think. And
So sorry, just for our audience, Gabriel, you went to uni in the States.
I went to university.
Because otherwise people are like, Connecticut in the UK? Where is that?
Where did I get $2 billion from?
Yeah, exactly.
I went to university in the States. Yeah. So this guy, he graduated my university, and I had the luck to talk to him for about 10 minutes at some point. I said, how do you surround yourself with amazing people? How did you find your first employees? Or what did you look for in your first employees? And he said, less the willingness to learn, but the excitement to teach. It was not in those words, I paraphrase that, but that he looked for people who were passionate about something, and they weren't teaching what they worked at the job. They were passionate about something else.
Yeah.
And that is kind of how the sort of people that I surround myself with are people who are passionate about what they work on, but they also have other passions beyond that. And they are passionate about, like, if I want to learn,
yes,
what they are knowledgeable at. Yeah.
A long time ago, when I was a much younger man, I was doing some theater, and I remember something that the director said. He's dead now. That's not even. They came out really wrong, but he was a very well-known actor in Portugal, and he told me, I can work with more energy, I can shape it the way I want it. Less, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And he would always pick the right actors based on this. Are they adding a lot to the game because I can shape them the way I want, or are they not bringing anything to the table? And it's the same thing when you're working, right? You need to bring a lot of value, and then it comes down to the leadership to say, actually, I want to pick this bit. This is what I want you to deliver on.
Yeah.
And it works so much better that way.
Yeah. So that's kind of an ethos that I've just kind of pulled out of thin air from a bunch of different places. I don't listen to podcasts as much as I should.
I think that makes two, oddly.
Yeah, because it's just I need to focus on Tutti in order to get this done. Like, so many people I see who are starting companies, they're like saying yes to everything. You can say yes to everything in early days, but you will not be able to spend all your time on your company, and your company you might get lucky and it might grow, but it won't grow as fast as if you've said no to everything else and you focus on the company.
Can I then ask a question? Are you a full-time entrepreneur, or?
Yeah,
yes?
Very much so.
Okay, so you've definitely taken the leap and gone into it and dedicated 100%. So
yeah, I've been full time since 2018. So
it's hard, I imagine. Huh?
It's hard. I'm a solo founder, so I have to find the emotional support that co-founders get between each other from other people. So luckily I have an amazing group of friends around me. When I started, I had like friends who didn't really understand the founder journey. Yeah. The main person who needed to support me emotionally was my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. Clearly she did a good job.
You're not leaving.
And she's been amazing through all of this. And then when I started realizing that networking was the key to kind of grow my network, and obviously networking, when I realized that I really needed to focus time on that, then I started finding loads of other founders who appreciated my energy. Yes. And now so many of my friends are other founders. I'm literally going out to dinner and theatre tonight with 2 other founders. Oh, nice. And yeah, it's amazing finding people like that. So.
It's that thing, great minds think alike, isn't it?
Yeah.
You tend to find people that are in the same, I guess, wavelength as you are, and that makes, you know, a world of difference.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, I think, when you're starting something, is that you have an idea and then you think, I really don't know anyone like this, and then magically they kind of show up in your life, one way or the other.
Magically and half.
Magically, and a lot of work in between. Yeah, a lot of hard work.
Actually, for people who are just starting out, that's one thing that made the first 2 years the hardest thing, was that I didn't know anyone in the sector. I didn't know anyone in London. There's a lot of great places to go to events now in London, specifically for the startup world. The top ones that I would mention are Entrepreneurs Collective, Dream Factory, Vasily's events, which I think are called Fugin, I don't know. And then Mike Butcher, the editor of TechCrunch, he runs some of his own events sometimes. And then the accelerator that I graduated out of, Founder Institute, runs events. And then another accelerator that I'm related to is Hotbed, and they run events. All of these different communities have so many incredible founders at them, and a lot of those are free. So if you check them out there, So
that's kind of your advice for people listening is go to events, network as much as you can, and build your community, right?
Yeah, you never know where someone might be able to lead you, so go and find people who are as passionate about building something as you are.
On that note, if people want to find you, how can they do that?
I'm way too active on LinkedIn. Talking about focusing on the company, I need to spend less time on LinkedIn. But my LinkedIn is just my name, Gabriel Isserlis. My LinkedIn handle is GMISSERLIS. I'm not really on any other social media. I am, but I don't do anything on them, so no point following me. And then the company is the easiest way to follow how we're doing, which is www.tutti.space.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
We really appreciate your time, and I'll pass over.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.